24/7 at davejanda.com. One of the added benefits of becoming a subscriber to our premium service content, in addition to getting our other 4 to 5 video format shows we provide every week, is our Operation Freedom Overtime segment. So every Sunday afternoon. So when our on-air light goes off here at Wham Talk 1600 Studios, our on-air light goes on at davejanda.com. Today's overtime segment for our subscribers exclusively is with geopolitical expert, the top geopolitical expert I believe in the world, Harley Schlanger. The way you get to that overtime segment, if you're a subscriber, you go to davejanda.com, you click on the radio show. Derek, my wingman, will have this show posted by 5 p.m. When you hit the radio show, all 4 segments from today's show pop up, including my next segment with the great Bill Holter. And then underneath that segment is the overtime segment, which is, it's a barn burner. And it's content that if Harley spoke about on this radio show live, the good old FCC would be knocking down the door of Wham Talk 1600 Studios tomorrow to shut it down. I hope you'll join us at davejanda.com. Derek will have the show posted by 5 p.m. As I mentioned, Bill Holter is our next guest on our radio show today, and I can't think of a better person to have with us with the turbulence, and that's being kind, with the turbulence in the financial markets. For those of you not familiar with Bill, little background. After a lengthy career in financial services, Bill saw what was coming in the mid-2000s, and he moved his family out of the United States in 2006. He then returned after the coast was clear, if you will, financially, back in 2011. He currently makes his home in the great state of Texas. He joined Miles Franklin, Miles, M-I-L-E-S, Franklin.com, an associate writer in 2012. And he continues to be a precious metals broker with Miles Franklin. But Bill is one of the most insightful financial and forensic economic analysts in the world. His website is chock full of fantastic information at billholter, HOLTER.com. When he worked with his partner, Jim Sinclair, and Jim has since passed, Jim was known as Mr. Gold, if you will. And when Jim passed, that title was passed on to Bill Holter. Bill has educated, empowered, and enlightened millions of people around the world, much to the chagrin of the criminal international banking syndicate, which is why it's always a privilege, pleasure, and honor to have him back with us. It's my honor to welcome back Bill Holter. Bill, welcome back to the Operation Freedom Show and platform.
Thanks for having me back, Dave.
All right, Bill, give us your take about what currently is going on in the financial world, and in particular the precious metals market. I've described it, Bill, and many people have found fault with me on this. I've described the current situation as a metals war, specifically a precious metals war, and in particular, a gold and silver war. Am I overstating the situation, Bill?
No, you're pretty spot on. You should add, there's obviously an overt rare earths war because China does control 90% of that. And current military applications don't work without the rare earths. So that's overt. And what's happening in gold and silver, I mean, they've been suppressed by paper for years and years. And that's coming to a head now. I mean, there's blood in the water. People understand there is a supply problem, particularly in silver.
Bill, we saw gold going up to $4,300, almost $4,400 an ounce. It has since backed off a bit. We saw silver up to $54 without the premium, just $54. It's backed off a bit. Those that have been involved, if you will, in the precious metals arena for years said, oh, here we go again. This is like This is like 2011 where they bombed gold and silver down so far. Oh, here we go again. They had their day in the sun and they're back. Bill, I contend that this is not 2011. And one of the reasons why it's not 2011 is because we are very close, if not right at the doorstep of something you have spoken about that is a beyond game changer, that being a failure to deliver physical metals situation. Bill, are the Cassandras out there, or the folks out there saying, oh, we're back to 2011 again? Are they right? Or is it different this time, as I contend?
Yeah, what I would first say is anybody who was watching gold and silver, did you not expect any type of correction at all?
Right.
And did you really believe that they were going to go straight up? No correction. Corrections occur to scare people that are weak in the knees out. That's what bull markets do in all markets, whether it be stocks, bonds, commodities, whatever. We were certainly due a correction. We were as overbought in silver as we were back in 1980. The difference being 1980 and then again in 2011 when silver hit $50. It hit $50 for minutes at best, not even a full hour. Mm-hmm. And then it started pulling back, and later in the day it was down, and then they turned and smashed it immediately. We've been hovering around this $50 level now for what 3 weeks. So just in time alone, this is different. And I can tell you again, particularly in silver, what's really different is the supply clearly does not meet the demand. Mm-hmm. And what has to change is price. Price has got to go much, much higher in order to create more supply coming to the market. And obviously, just capitalism alone. When something becomes more valuable, you have more players that want to produce silver or whatever the asset is. They want to produce it, sell it, and make that profit. The problem in the metals complex, it's not like oil. Oil, you could start drilling, and within 90 days or 120 days, you got production. With gold and silver, you could find gold or silver, and you're not going to have any production for at least 3 to 5 years, because you've got to build the infrastructure out in order to dig it up, and produce it, not refine it, but get it into doré bars.
Bill, when we were having gold and silver hitting their highs recently, we saw these pullbacks, mainly on October 10th, October 17th, October 21st, and October 27th. And I describe them, and you're the expert, please tell me if I'm wrong, as essentially smoke and mirror paper illusions that were not physical metal based. And I made that assessment. If we just look at October 10th, the syndicate, if you will, hurled 220,000 silver contracts on that day, totaling 1,100,410,000 ounces of synthetic silver in one trading session in a operation to bring the price down. And to put that in perspective, about 850 million ounces of silver are mined worldwide every year. So in one session, they produced of paper unbacked from physical contracts over a year's supply, almost a year and a half supply to bring the price down. And they did it again on the 17th, the 21st, and the 27th. Am I wrong on this assessment?
No, those numbers are correct. And what that tells you is that in one day, They sold 200 million ounces more than is produced in the world in a full year. And they've done this for years and years and years. It really ramped up in 1996 with Robert Rubin's strong dollar policy. But they've done this for years. COMEX has been the tail, and silver and gold being the dog. The tail, COMEX, which is not strictly, but 95% paper contracts, is wagging the dog. The paper contracts are what price the metal, and that's really one of the fundamental reasons behind the BRICS. They understand that it's a paper exchange, and suppressing gold, suppressing silver, what that does is it harms the economies of countries that produce gold and silver, and it helps the users. So, I mean, the BRICS are trying to get away from the dollar, which is unbacked, and they're creating exchanges, they're creating warehouses for gold and silver because they want those to be true markets. They want those to be actual price-making physical markets because they understand that COMEX, LBMA, the paper aspect of those are pure fraud.
And Bill, you mentioned the supply. So if we look worldwide, and let's just look at silver, Australia's Perth Mint suspended all sales of silver products recently. There were also cutbacks at the Royal Mint in London, at the Canadian Mint, and it's my understanding the U.S. Mint has stopped producing silver products for the silver eagles, if you will, for the rest of the year. Am I wrong?
No, that's correct. Those mints you mentioned, they have suspended production. And I mean, the only reason you would suspend production is if you don't have the blanks, if you don't have the silver to do it. The U.S. Mint typically every year, they stop producing eagles around November 15th and as late as December 1st. And that's just a function of they're getting ready to produce the following year coin. So what they're doing is they're retooling it, they're changing it so that the date is able to change. And they don't ship, whatever they've made, they've already shipped out. So the U.S. Mint announcing that they're done for the year, this year was quite early.
And then in India, their largest metals refinery ran out of silver for the first time in history.
Right. That's correct.
But yet they expect us to hand over our gold and silver because of what they do with their fraudulent, unbacked physical paper contracts, right? Do I have this right?
Right. Make no mistake. When you see the waterfall movement in gold and or silver, the whole idea behind that, the reason that the paper shorts do that is to discourage the sentiment. Mm-hmm. They want people to think, oh, this is too crazy, it's too risky, too volatile. I'm out and I don't want it. But that affects traders more than it does people that are going to buy and hold. But it still does affect the sentiment.
So Vince Lanzi, the financial analyst, said the following, just today actually. Gold will be unaffordable globally. That's how essentially it will be seen as being confiscated because people can't buy it. When that not that the government's going to take it away from you, it's just that it won't be available for you to buy. And then when that happens, silver will be unobtainable globally. He went on to say, gold is money, silver is more. Your take on that, Bill?
Yeah, when he's saying silver is more, there are so many uses for silver. I mean, you have medicinal uses, you have industrial uses, technological uses. yes, it has served as money, and there are still societies that view silver as money. But as he says, but there's more, and there's so much more. Silver is used in more applications than any other element on the table.
So, Bill, you're the world's expert. Play this out. Where are we going here? Tell me where we are on where your assessment on the supply side, on the demand side. Obviously, there's an industrial demand, there's a financial demand by central banks and sovereign wealth funds, and on the retail side. Take us on the supply demand side and where you think this is going, and how close are we to a failure to deliver?
Well, that's exactly where it's going. This is headed toward a failure to deliver. I've always thought it would be silver first. And within the same day or the next day, gold will also be overrun. And what you have to understand is these are contracts. And my late partner, Jim, used to always ask the question, what is the value of a contract that cannot deliver? And the answer is zero.
Zero.
And he hypothesized he could foresee the day where gold would be $10 an ounce offered on the COMEX and no buyers. And on the cash market, it's $50,000 an ounce bid and no sellers. And what this illustrates is if the contracts are worth zero, then the fraud has been unveiled. And it's not just fraud in the commodity complex. The whole system is a fraud. The whole system is a Ponzi scheme. So if you get silver or gold fail to deliver, what that does is it ignites the entire derivatives complex, which is over $2 quadrillion right now. And you compare that to all the economies in the world, you compare that to all the markets in the world, and the derivatives dwarf everything. And when derivatives blow up, your result, unfortunately, is going to be Mad Max for a time.
And Bill, tell me if my assessment on this is off, but if we look at the spot market in silver, mainly that's out of London. There's a lot of paper shenanigans there, but it's a physical is more based in London, if you will, as opposed to the COMEX here in the United States that's a paper exchange. The price of silver on the spot market. Now, usually the spot market, if you look at a commodity, if I want it today, it's going to be cheaper than if I want it the front month contract. That would be more expensive because there's a holding charge and the like, right? And if the spot is actually more than the month or 2 or 3 out, that's called backwardation. We had significant, at least in my world, the largest backwardation I've ever seen in precious metals and silver that was around $2, I think almost up to $3 recently. And then it kind of rectified, but now it's back into backwardation. To me, that means there's a supply problem, that people want their silver now. They don't want to wait because they believe when that contract comes due, even if it's in a month, it's not going to be there. Am I reading this wrong?
No, that's absolutely correct. When there's backwardation, what that means, well, first off, the future months should always be higher than the spot month because anything a month from now, 2 months, 3 months, is going to be more expensive because of the interest, if you will. But the backwardation, what that shows is people are saying, I want my metal and I want it now. I'm not willing to wait 30 days or 60 days to get my metal because I don't know if there's going to be any metal available for me. So yes, it's a supply problem, but it's truly, it's the way the buyers are thinking. It's the demand side that their thought process has changed from, I can wait 30 days or 60 days. No, I'm not going to wait 30 days or 60 days. I want it now so I know that I have it.
Bill, the Wall Street crowd has come down on me because I've said if you look at the London Bullion Market Association, LBMA, and you look at the COMEX, they're really dinosaurs that are in the process of dying. And if you really want to look at the future of trading in precious metals, you have to really look towards Shanghai, that is a physically based exchange, the Shanghai Gold Exchange. I've been told that I'm wrong on that assessment. I've said that I believe that the exchange mechanism is moving to the Far East, and that's where the world is going. Your assessment? Am I have at me? Am I every week when I talk about this, I get Wall Street types calling me and blowing me smoke. Have at me, blow me smoke. Am I off?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's little question on that.
So if the Shanghai Gold Exchange is going to be the exchange on the physical side, those are dinosaurs in London and the COMEX in New York and Chicago, right?
Well, they're clown shows, is what they are. I mean, Shanghai, they want that to be a fully physical exchange without any paper contract shenanigans, because they watch. Dave, there's people out there way smarter than you and I, and they watch this, and they've watched this for years, and they know that it's a fraud, and they know that paper with no backing is pricing the asset itself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And China, the East, they want fair pricing on exchanges that are physical, where there's not a question of, am I going to get my metal or am I not going to get my metal? And again, this goes back to the thinking of the BRICS. They want free and fair trade and free and fair settlement. And what they're wanting in the commodity markets are free and fair pricing, because they've watched COMEX and they've watched LBMA, slaughter various commodities, not based on supply and demand, just based on, financialization.
Mm-hmm. Bill, as this in our final minute, what's the one thing we should be watching out for as this escalates in a failure to deliver situation? What's the red flag you're going to see?
Well, the